My voice rises, soft as the murmur of a breeze threading through the ancient olive groves of Athens, where philosophers once stood beneath a canopy of stars, weaving truths into the tapestry of night. I speak to you, pilgrims lost in the din of this fractured age, of a lesson not carved in stone, but traced in the quiet steps of a gray cat named Ash. When someone departs, leaving only the echo of their absence, we turn inward, scouring our souls for faults to claim. Yet Ash, with her emerald eyes and tranquil poise, taught me a truth older than the hills: not every wound bears your mark, and not every silence measures your worth. Does a leaving prove your lack? Let this question hover, a flicker of flame against a cavern's dark, both a challenge and a comfort. The world insists that if they turn away, you fell short; if they vanish, you failed to shine. But what if I told you their departure speaks not of your deficiency, but of their unreadiness to linger? I did not grasp this once. When she left, her silence a tide that drowned my thoughts, I stood amid the ruins of my heart, whispering, what did I do wrong? I sifted through moments, her last words, her fleeting gaze, convinced the fracture was mine to mend. I was mistaken. She left. And all I could think was, what did I do wrong? The truth, my friends, is that not every broken bond was shattered by your hand. Some slip away, even when you poured your soul into loving them true. I replayed it all, as one might wander the halls of a deserted temple, seeking the altar where the light went out. The last text, sharp and brief, glowed on my screen like a verdict. The silence that followed, thick as fog rolling over a winter sea, pressed against my bones. That look in her eyes, distant, clouded, haunted me like a prophecy I could not decipher. Had I spoken too softly, or too much? Had I cared too fiercely, or not enough? Perhaps, I murmured to the shadows, I was not enough. Ash was my witness, my silent sage, through those days of doubt. One twilight, as the sky burned amber beyond the window, I poured my questions to her. She did not meow, did not flinch. She merely gazed at me, her green eyes calm as a forest pool, her stillness a gentle reproof to my storm. It was as if she said, not everything that ends is yours to carry. I lingered there, her gaze heavier than my guilt, and began to wonder, what if the fault lay not in me, but in the void she could not bridge? If this tale stirs your heart, leave a like, share it with those weighed by unearned blame, together, we may lift their burden. I replayed those moments, each a stone cast into the depths of my mind, sending ripples I could not quell. The last text, had I misread its cadence, or answered wrongly? The silence, had I summoned it with some careless word? Her eyes, had they glimpsed a flaw I could not name? I pored over memories like a scribe deciphering a faded scroll, seeking the line where I erred. Perhaps I'd been too guarded, or too open, too quiet, or too bold. The doubts amassed, a tower of thorns, and I stood beneath it, certain her leaving branded me lacking. Yet Ash, curled by the hearth, her tail tracing slow curves, seemed to ask, why claim a tempest not your own? One dawn, as rain wove a delicate curtain beyond the glass, I watched Ash chase a shadow across the floor. It danced beyond her paws, and she paused, not with anger, but with grace, settling to watch the world unfold. I thought, does a cat curse herself when the sparrow escapes? Does she scorn her stride when the rain soaks her fur? No, she moves forward, unburdened by what she cannot grasp. I began to see her leaving not as my conviction, but as a path she chose, not a judgment on my soul. The guilt I'd worn, heavy as a millstone, was not my crafting. If this story kindles a spark, hit that like, share it, it may light another's way through shadow. Let me draw you now to a firelit room, the embers casting warmth against the chill of memory. I speak of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who bore a throne of iron and a heart of steadfast calm. He wrote in his Meditations, "If someone does wrong, the harm is theirs to bear." I turned these words as I watched Ash doze, her breath a soft pulse against the fire's crackle. Marcus knew betrayal, the bite of trusted voices turned false, the tremor of an empire unsteady, yet he did not chain himself to their choices. He penned, "You are not wounded by another's deeds, but by your view of them." Her silence, her absence, they were not my flaws etched in granite, but her storms I need not brave. Picture a night in Marcus's camp, the air heavy with the scent of pine and steel, his legions sleeping beneath a sky slashed by stars. A scroll lay before him, its words barbed with a comrade's treachery. He did not rage, did not despair. By the flicker of a lamp, he wrote, "Their fault is theirs, your peace is yours." I thought of her, of how her silence might have been her own gale, her leaving a road she walked, not a measure of my worth. Perhaps she could not love as I did, or bear the weight of what we wove. Perhaps it was not about me. Ash's eyes caught the firelight, glinting like jade, as if murmuring, "Master, let their winds blow, you are not their anchor. If this tale warms you, leave a like, share it, may it soothe another's storm." Yet a doubt lingered, as it may for you, if we release blame, do we erase love, the threads that once bound us? Beside Ash, as moonlight silvered the floor, I wrestled with this. To shed guilt, did it mean snuffing out the glow of her laugh, the nights we spoke until the stars faded? I feared it so, my heart a battlefield of memory and mending. Then Epictetus's voice pierced the ages, "What binds you is not the event, but your thought of it." A slave in chains, he knew pain, blows to his flesh, disdain to his spirit, yet he stood free within. He taught that guilt grips us only when we grant it rein. I could cherish her still, yet not wear her leaving as my shame. One afternoon, as autumn's leaves spun like embers beyond the pane, Ash leapt for a butterfly, its wings a fleeting sapphire. It slipped free, and she sat, untroubled, her gaze tracing its arc. Epictetus, scorned by a cruel master, smiled and said, "You mock my form, not my will." I bore no fetters, yet I'd bound myself to fault unmine. Ash pressed against me, as if whispering, "Master, let the butterfly glide, let the guilt drift." You can be a true heart in a tale gone astray, I learned. You can love deeply and still lose. Her leaving did not carve my value, nor her silence chain me. If this moves you, like it, share it, let it reach those tethered to blame not theirs. Let me paint another scene, a summer's dusk, the air alive with the hum of cicadas, Ash perched on a fence, her silhouette sharp against a crimson sky. I'd found an old letter, its ink faded, her words a ghost of warmth. Once, I'd have clutched it, seeking errors to own. But that evening, I watched Ash bat at a moth, then let it spiral into the twilight. Seneca's voice stirred, "We suffer more in imagination than in truth." Her absence was real, yet my guilt was a specter I'd conjured. I chose to see it as moth's wings, vivid, brief, then gone. Ash glanced back, her eyes a green tide, as if saying, "Master, let it fly, let it pass." Resilience bloomed. I ceased scouring memories for missteps, stopped raising shrines to doubt. With Ash beside me, the rain's cadence a quiet hymn, I felt a shift, not a fracture, but a flowering. Marcus wrote, "What is not yours to bear, release to the skies." I let her silence drift, not as my failing, but as her choice. Guilt, once a boulder upon my chest, crumbled, not because I denied it, but because I saw its truth, a shadow, not a stone. Ash's warmth pressed close, a silent oath, you are enough, though others turn away. If this journey echoes in you, hit that like, share it, may it ease another's weight. Draw near for another moment, a winter's morn, frost tracing the window in delicate webs, Ash curled on a chair, her breath fogging the glass. I'd woken from a dream of her nod, her fleeting smile, only to find the room bare save for Ash. Once, I'd have sunk beneath that loss, hunting flaws to claim. But that dawn, I watched Ash paw at the frost, then settle as it melted under the sun. Seneca's words rose, what you fear is often less than what you feel. Her leaving was real, yet my blame was a tale I'd spun. I chose to see it as frost, sharp, fleeting, then gone. Ash's gaze met mine, a green sea, as if murmuring, Master, let it thaw, let it fade. Months stretched into seasons, each a step from fault to freedom. I walked with Ash through the garden, her paws crunching leaves beneath a bare oak, its roots deep despite the cold. I thought of Marcus, gazing at a Rome he could not save, yet finding peace in his soul's command. I thought of Epictetus, limping through servitude, yet striding free in spirit. Their lessons, like ashes, showed me, you can be whole though others depart, worthy though they stay silent. Her absence was not my measure, nor her quiet my chains. If this tale steadies you, like it, share it, may it anchor another's heart. Let me carry you to one more scene, a spring evening, the air thick with lilac, Ash darting after a beetle in the grass. I'd found a photo, her face frozen in a moment of joy, and felt the old pull to question my worth. But as Ash let the beetle scuttle free, sitting content in the fading light, I heard Marcus again, you are what you choose to be, not what others make you. Her leaving was her path, not my verdict. I set the photo down, not with sorrow, but with calm. Ash nudged my hand, her eyes a quiet vow, Master, you are enough. If this story lifts you, leave a like, share it, may it guide another to their truth. I whispered to Ash one tranquil night, the air heavy with cedar, it wasn't my fault. It just wasn't meant to stay. In that breath, I found peace, not by erasing her, but by releasing the guilt I'd wrongly claimed. Yet this is not the end, my friends. To live this truth today, amid screens that hum, judgments that sting, bonds that fray, is a craft of courage. I see a world where silence cuts like scorn, where worth is tethered to others' whims. What would Marcus say to a friend's cold distance, a message left unanswered? How would Epictetus walk through a crowd that sees him not? Ash taught me fault is not mine unless I wield the blade. When voices hush, when doors close, I see not my lack, but their paths turning aside. This age bids us prove ourselves endlessly, Stoicism bids us know we are enough. I sit with Ash, knowing that though the world judges, I can stand, like a cliff against the tide, worn but whole. So can you. Live like Ash, like Marcus, like Epictetus, unshackled by guilt not yours. One summer dawn, as Ash chased a sparrow only to let it soar, I smiled. She was gone, and I was free. If this story lights your way, like it, share it, let it reach those ready to know, it wasn't their fault.